Well, hello again. I know I said I was going to do a lot with the channel this year, and obviously we're nearly the end of December now, and I've done nothing, so sorry about that. So, what happened? I just sort of ran out of motivation, and I ran out of money to really do much meaningful with the car, so rather than just drip feed you little bits and pieces here and there, I decided to just sort of shelve the project for the time being, work on other things, get some money behind me, and, well, I hadn't planned for it to be this long, but here we are. But I can't procrastinate anymore. I need to get this project finished. It's been way too long already. I need the garage space back, and so by hook or by crook, this car will be getting back on the road next year. I'll be getting back doing videos in the next couple of weeks, little bits to start with, but I'll be building up as I go along through the year. And then hopefully by maybe the end of summer, the car will be back on the road. Finally, I'm not going to have the garage back. But I've got nothing I can really do here at the moment. It's a bit cold, so let's go inside and meet the Queen. Behold, the Queen. I got this folder along with the car. It came with all the receipts and everything still in it. And I've kept it along ever since. I've added a few myself. And I thought, when it's cold outside, it's warm in here, we'll go through a bit of the history of the car. So, we'll come back to the receipts. There's in the back here, past all the receipts, past all the MOT certificates. There's some old car receipts here. No, there's no date on this, so I don't know how old this one is or how old the car was at the time, but yeah, at some point she was sold as a non-runner, £400. Sold as seen. Another one here from 2000, £30. I don't know if that was a deposit or if that was the price for the whole car. It could be either. And then this, I assume it's a receipt, but it doesn't actually say how much it cost. Then we've got some random notes here from September 94, I guess. And here's the interesting part. So somebody, at some point, has gone through and they've worked out some of the history of the car. I think there's as many guesses here as there is actual history, but it's still quite interesting. So according to this, she was built in August 76 in Speke. Then she was registered in November 76 in Colwyn Bay, like North Wales. And then sold again 5 years later, still in Wales. Now it says here, vehicle thought to have been fitted with 12-valve engine at this time. I don't know of any 12-valve engines that would have fitted to the car, so I would assume that would have been a Sprint 16-valve. I've seen no evidence that that was ever actually done, but who knows. So, just over a year later, sold on again. And this time she'd made her way to Birmingham, which is pretty much where she stayed until I got her. Vehicle thought to have been out of use between 87 and 89, and then sold on in 89 as a restoration project. Then a year later she was given away, still unrestored, to Tracy somebody. And then, a year after that, still unrestored, Tracy then sold the car, having done nothing to it, to her dad. I mean, how cheeky is that? But still, he rebuilt it. Original engine refitted. I don't know if that means the actual original engine or just another 8-valve, but either way. Parts used from another TR7, bodywork and interior left except for replacement panels and welding. And there's a note here saying no sign of any welding at MOT. Now, knowing what I know about the car, I couldn't see any other welding either, but that doesn't actually mean it didn't need it. It had a lot of filler in there, and a lot of things that should have been welded that weren't, but there we go. Apparently after that, he then sold the car on to Mr. and Mrs. Headland. They had it resprayed, badly. New carpets, trim restored, reconditioned gearbox fitted. We'll come back to that in a minute. New alternator, new distributor. It says here original floor to boot replaced. Now I've been all over that boot floor and as far as I know it's still the original. So I think that's probably just the carpet. New jack and tools, new heater box, that was interesting. Tyres replaced, windscreen wipers overhauled by Lucas. Didn't know they did that, but... Anti-theft device fitted, whatever that was, there was no sign of that when I got the car. And then new... I don't even know what that says, new wax fitted. New Lucas, I don't know. If you can figure out what that says, let me know. And then between 91 and about 2000, I don't know what happened to it. I've got receipts in here that date back to around 2000. New exhaust on there. New starter motor. Kenlo fan, which I kind of wish I kept that, but I actually sold that. Carbs were rebuilt 2002. And then this is about where I came in. This is the first invoice that I've got that I paid for. Control knob. And then more service parts. I don't remember this, but apparently I was having some issues. More parts, more parts. Plenty more parts there. Whole new rear axle there from S&S. And then we're up to about present time now. These are some of the resto bits that I bought. And then I've got some old MOT certificates here. Didn't she do well? Getting back to the gearbox, this one's interesting. It's a receipt for a new gearbox round about the time the history says it was replaced. The car actually started life as an automatic, but it got swapped to a 4-speed manual at some point. Whether this was when it was done, or if this was just a swap from one 4-speed to another, I don't know. I'd have thought the letter would have mentioned that, it's quite detailed otherwise. But it's referencing a completely different body number, so this might not actually have anything to do with my car at all. But I love the tone of the letter, you just don't see this anymore. So even if it's not part of the car's history, I'm going to keep it around anyway. So that's all the history from before I got the car. Now let's talk about what happened when I got my hands on it. So I got the car in 2005 from a guy in Coventry. I've been looking around for a Spitfire actually, but I saw this and just had to have it. It reminded me of seeing them as a kid. It looked cool, it was in decent shape, and it was red. So I bought it, I named her Rosie, and spent the next couple of years just having fun with her. She wasn't without her problems, but I took the time to learn how to fix all the simple stuff. I didn't have many tools, I didn't have a proper place to work on her, and I didn't really know what I was doing. But I did my best. She really wasn't a show car by any means, and she wasn't in great shape mechanically, as you can see here. There's a lot of signs of poor maintenance here, which, looking back at these pictures, is kind of embarrassing. Some of this I can blame on the last guy, but a lot of it I have to own up to myself. There's a massive oil leak here which I did nothing about. There's some missing exhaust bolts here. And on this picture here, well, there's a lot going on here. You can see a weird layout of the earth strap going right over the top of the engine just there. And also the other end's bolted to the shock tower, which I'm pretty sure isn't right. Over here you can see the DIY battery clamp I made up that's going rusty already, and the straps are just way too long. Up here you can see someone replace the vacuum hoses with what looks like garden hose. I mean it worked, but it just looked a bit dodgy. You can see I made an effort to repaint the filter box here, and it's got some shiny new plug leads, but up here you can see the washer pump just sort of floating around in mid-air. Oh, and that blue hose? That's aquarium air hose. Check out that random loose wire just sat there as well. And this one, unfortunately, is all my work. I fitted an electronic ignition kit and just sort of left the wires draped over the brake cylinder. I hadn't even cut the tail off the cable tie. Oops. I like to think I've come a long way since. But overall, the car looked good still, at least from a distance. But looking up closely, you could see things were getting a bit rough, which is why I took her off the road for the restoration. Like this paint bubbling here. It looked bad enough already, and when I started poking around, it turned out to be even worse. Remember earlier when I said she hadn't been welded, but really needed it? This is what I mean. When the car was restored before, they'd just filled in the rust rather than cutting it out. So once I started digging around, I found huge areas just rotted away and covered up with filler. Even the windscreen frame was completely rotted out and bodged with filler, so as well as the front wings, I needed to weld in a whole new windscreen frame. So what was supposed to be a winter project, just filling in a few holes and sorting out the mechanical issues, turned into a full-on nut and bolt restoration. Talk about project creep. But if you've been watching my videos, you know the rest already. The body is now 100% rust-free, and I'm slowly, very slowly, getting her back together at last. So what comes next? Well, I'm back on the project again now. Just small things for now. I think electrics is going to be the main focus next, and then I'll get working on the engine parts a little bit later next year. But in the meantime, sorry once again for abandoning you again. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll be seeing you again shortly. See ya!